Welcome to the Real Talk with Megan podcast, where we have candid conversations about the things that matter most. I'm your host, Megan, and we're going to deep dive into the topic of mental health. Together, we'll work to destigmatize mental health and start conversations. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready for a real and raw conversation about mental health on the Real Talk with Megan podcast. I am so excited that you're listening today, but I do want to let you know this is going to be a little bit of a different podcast just because this is something that's been kind of on my heart, things I've been thinking about lately, and especially because I just had a birthday this past week, and I was thinking about a lot of things that I've learned over the past 36 years I've been on this earth. And man, it's hard to believe that I'm 36 years old. And then just how much God has worked in my life throughout those 36 years. With this, I wanted to write down and share 36 things that I've learned throughout my life. And I think this is going to be fun, but there's some really good pieces in here too that maybe you can learn from as well. So these are in no particular order, but I'm going to start with my number one I had is coffee is always a good idea. For me, coffee is always a good idea. Now, I will say it doesn't affect me like it does some people, where if you drink coffee too late, it keeps you up through the night. So in that case, if that's how you're affected by it, please don't drink it that late. That may not be a good idea, but coffee is always a great idea. And especially when I get to go have coffee with some of my friends and hang out with them, it's amazing. All right, number two. My parents did more for me than I will probably ever realize growing up. And I think I started to recognize this more when I had kids of my own, that I started to realize how much my parents did for me and how grateful and thankful I am for that. Number three, your body can crack like a glow stick after you hit 30. And it's really disappointing that I'm not like just glowing. So there's that. Number four, do it scared. Step out of your comfort zone. You never know how God wants to use you. I'll be honest, I never dreamed that I would be helping people who struggle with mental health or creating new systems in our church to help people find and follow Jesus. Or this one blows my mind, becoming an assistant director and producer of a film production company. Those things I never thought would ever happen. They weren't even on my radar. But God had a different plan, and it has been more incredible than I could have ever thought. And I am so glad that I stepped out of my comfort zone and did some things that I was really scared to do to get me where I am. And I couldn't imagine not doing those things now. So, number five, there is a no shame in falling asleep before 10 p.m. Not at all. No. Actually, it's kind of glorious if I can go to sleep before then. And then the times that I stay up a lot later than 10 p.m., I definitely regret it. So, no shame. Number six, take time each day to think of things you're grateful for. Man, this has been a game changer. It changed the way I thought about things, it changed my mindset. All I had to do was think of three things each day, like in the morning when I get up, even before my feet hit the floor out of the bed, is thinking of three things I'm grateful for each day. And it could be as simple as, yeah, my number one, coffee. I am so thankful for coffee. Or it could be as deep as just the relationship I have with my husband or my kids or God. You can have it anywhere in between, but thinking of three things you're grateful for can just change the way that you view the day. And in the long run, it's going to make you feel like you have a fuller life. And it has been one of my favorite things, which leads kind of into number seven, be positive. We have too much negativity in this world already, and negativity just bums me out. I honestly recognize when I'm around somebody who is super negative all the time. And yes, you know those people. But when I'm around them, I start becoming so negative. And typically, I'm a pretty positive person. So that can really affect me. And so I do everything I can to be positive. Number eight, I love Disney. I love Disney even more than I did when I was a kid, and I did not think that that was possible. It has been such a safe space for me, and I will tell you, going to Disney World has been so wonderful. I love going with our family. It's an amazing vacation for us. I know it's not for everybody, but for us, we have just and had an incredible time, and I love it so much. And I did not realize I could love Disney so much more than I ever did when I was a kid. But it has been just one of my go-tos, my comfort zones, feel safe in, and just continue to go back and back to it. Number 9, health is not just about what you eat, but it's the mental along with physical. So these things go hand in hand. And honestly, if we want to add in, your health is about being your whole person. So it hits your physical, your mental, your spiritual, your emotional, and your relational aspects of your life. And so there are so many different pieces that we just think of health as one thing. And we have so much more that we should focus on. And really, if we want to be healthy, is to look at all 5 of those areas. Which turns me into this one. And this one, oh, I could just say it's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. But food is not quote unquote good or quote unquote bad. Food gives you energy for your life, and it's all about a balance. So many of us need to heal our relationship with food. And one tip that I heard, and it sticks with me because it was so good, is that eat what you want and what you need. So it's not about cutting everything out of your life. Now, if you're allergic to it or there's an issue, yes, you should probably not eat that. But if it's just a relationship with your food of finding what's healthy and things that give you more energy, things that are going to work better for your body. At the same time, if you take that away from your diet altogether, away from what you would typically do, and you tell yourself you cannot have like sugar or carbs like bread, if you're telling yourself you can't have those things just because you want to be good, then you're going to crave those things so much more. And so, what this quote told me is that, yeah, if I'm wanting, like, I love sour candy. And so, if I'm wanting a little bit of sour candy, okay, I can have that little bit of sour candy, but I need to make sure I have something that's a little bit better for me. So, like, if that's having a salad or having some carrots or some kind of vegetable or something that's going to give me nutrients to get through my day and not just live on that candy, it is so much more important. And then not thinking that when you do have that one thing, like if I had some candy or a piece of cake, it's not ruining and I'm not a failure. It's not ruining everything. So that's been a huge one. And I think that there's so many people that just need to heal their relationship with food. And we need to look at this in a different perspective than the way it's always been. And I know that that's a big cultural piece. And I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. I understand that to a T. But we really just have to heal that relationship. And that will get you into a healthy spot where you start to see food as something that gives you energy to go throughout your day. Okay, number 11. Jumping on a trampoline is never a good idea after having kids. Neither is sneezing. If you need an explanation, go ask somebody who has had kids, and you can find out from them. Number 12, be present with those around you. Oh, we're getting to another pet peeve. Put the phone down. It's not as important as the relationship that is happening right in front of you. Whatever it is, put the phone down. Whether it's your spouse, whether it's your kids, whether it's a coworker, no matter who it is, in that moment, if someone is trying to have a conversation with you, put the stinking phone down. Be present with those around you. It is so important, and it will mean so much more to that person that's sitting across from you. Number 13, go on a hike and enjoy God's creation. Now, if you don't like outdoors, then that's fine. You don't have to. But for me, that is one of my favorite things to do, to enjoy God's creation and just to be able to see the like majesty and the greatness of how God created the earth. And I will tell you, going on like hiking up to the top of a mountain, even though, yes, you will be sore and it will not be the most enjoyable experience sometimes going up or coming back down. But when you can sit towards the edge of the mountain, not on the edge because I have a fear of heights, so that doesn't work, but towards and see out for miles, it is so incredible to see that. and just let yourself sit there. It's one of my favorite things that I get to do. And we've done that as with our family, which has been such a cool experience to do that together. Number 14. This one took me a while to learn, but I'm not the only one struggling with anxiety. That is what I used to tell myself. I'm the only one who feels this way. I'm the only one who thinks this way or is struggling in this way, but I'm not. There's so many people who are struggling with different things, and everybody has something they're dealing with at that time or are working to manage it. So I had to come to realize that I was not the only one struggling, and it gave me so much comfort to not feel like I was just this weird outcast, thinking that I was the only person feeling this way. Yeah, people may not have the exact same feelings or thoughts that you do, but we're all dealing with something. Number 15, and I really struggle with this one still to this day, but ask the questions and speak up when you don't understand. Now, I'm a perfectionist. I've talked about this time and time again. And when I don't understand something, I feel like a failure if I have to ask questions. Well, let me just tell you now, and I'm going to tell myself that's not true. You're not a failure. Actually, asking questions is really great because you can understand things better, which help you do your job or communicate better in whatever situation it may be. So ask questions. So important. Number 16, do what makes you happy. Don't let others control your happiness. So just because you have people around you that say, oh, this would be so cool, this would be awesome, like you would be great at this, if it doesn't make you happy, don't do it. Now, I understand there's times in your jobs, there's things that don't make you happy and you do have to do. So let's put those aside. But I'm just talking about in your everyday life, in your things with your friends. Like if they're going out to go kayaking and you hate being on the water, don't go kayaking. Do what makes you happy. Don't feel like you're forced to fit into a box that you don't fit into. Number 17, what trolls on the internet say don't define you. There has been so many times that I've posted things or maybe things about me being a pastor at a church, and there have been some really mean people comment on that and tell me I don't have the right to be a pastor. I can't be a pastor because I'm a female. There's a lot of people who sit behind a keyboard and will just write comments away and don't even realize what kind of effect that can have on people. But on the other side, we're human. We deal with things. We struggle with insecurities. I know I do. And sometimes those people that are writing those comments can hit those insecurities. But I have to remind myself that what they say does not define me. It is how I feel about myself. It is how God views me, how my husband views me, how my kids view me. It's not about what people I've never met and probably never will meet, which kind of leads into 18. You're not going to please everyone. Nope. And you have to be okay with that. There is no way on this planet to please everyone all at the same time. And we have to realize to be okay with that. Because if you're always trying to please everyone and being a people pleaser and always wanting to make everyone happy, guess who's not going to be happy? You're going to feel miserable. So stop trying to please everyone else and be okay with it. Be okay to say no. This is coming from a recovering people pleaser. I know, I've been there. These are a lot easier said than done, but they're really important if you can put those into practice. Number 19. Even though the world might say that you are an adult at 18, still at 36, I need some tricks for adulting. It's a really weird moment when you're looking around the room for the adult to help with whatever situation it is, and you quickly realize you are the adult. Yeah, it can be really strange. It's okay to not feel like you have it all together. We're all learning, we're all growing. That's a part of life, and we're all doing our best. And yeah, you're going to learn things along the way that's going to help you grow into being that quote unquote adult. But it's okay if you don't have everything figured out. Number 20, you can have bad days and still be a good mom. Man, this one was hard to learn. It is so hard sometimes to be a mom and feel like you have to be perfect all the time. Feel like you have to have, again, everything together. Feel like you have to handle everyone's situations. You feel like you are being like on call 24/7. It's okay if you have a bad day. You're still a good mom. And a lot of that ties in with you can't compare your worst days to other people's best days, especially on social media. Typically, we show the happiest parts of our life, which is awesome. We love to celebrate other people's happy moments. But when you look at your worst day and you compare it to somebody's really happy moment and you think, oh, I'll never be like them, well, you've got it wrong because they have those days too. They have those bad days too. Not everyone has it perfect all the time. So just remember not to compare yourself to others. Number 21, there is no shame in seeking a counselor or taking medicine to help with some chemical imbalances. You hear this on this podcast, if you've listened at all, time and time again, that there is no shame in talking to someone. You need to. We all do. Whether it's a counselor or a licensed therapist or just a really safe person, like a friend or a pastor, whoever that person is for you, there is no shame in that. And for me, it was talking to a counselor. It was talking to someone who could help me get from where I was to where I needed to be. And so that was so helpful. I have close people in my life that taking medicine has completely changed how they have their daily routine. It's been incredible for them. And for some people, that doesn't work. But finding what works best for you is so important. And above all else, talking to someone is so important in your healing journey. 22, you will say the most unexpected things to your kids. Like, Hulk has a bedtime too, is something I never imagined I would say to my girls, but it really happened. Sometimes you say the strangest things and you look back on it and you're like, what just happened? And that was one of those moments because I remember my daughter loved action figures. Like she loved all the superheroes. So she had all like Iron Man and Spider Man and the Hulk. And I don't even remember all the ones she had, but along with her Barbies. So like her Barbies and well, and the Disney princesses, they would all play together with these superheroes. And there was one night that she did not want to go to bed. And so as we were cleaning up and playing with these toys, I was like, Hulk has a bedtime too. And it worked. She went to bed and everything was great. But I will never forget that moment. Number 23, take your kids on experiences and get them outside. They don't always need the newest and greatest things. This is something that my husband and I have really stood by. There are times when the kids are at each other's throats. It's the end of the day. Like they've just had enough of being cooped up, especially in the summer. Like we're getting ready to start back to school soon. And we're hitting that moment where it's like, it's just enough. They're bored. They don't have anything to do. And we've just said, go outside, go run off some energy, go do something active. And it helps so much just for them to go play outside, use their imaginations. And we have stood by just not always buying them the newest things. One, because we've not had like the finances to just buy all the new things all the time. And so we've had to be smart with what we do with our money and using our resources wisely. So yeah, they get things. But if they want the greatest thing and the newest thing, like when they wanted Switches, and they wanted all their video games and do all this, we told them, if you want this, we're going to work on saving up your money. So, through different things, different birthdays, Christmas, all the different things, I took them about a year to save up the money so they could buy theirs. But now they're so proud of buying their own, taking care of it. And it's been a great experience for them just to learn about money, but then also to learn like what hard work is. It's just created this expectation that they don't always just get the new things when they want it. And that's been super helpful and also has been really great for our bank account. Number 24, know when to keep your mouth shut. Choose your battles wisely. Whew, this can be with other people. This can be with your kids. That's one thing that my mom said when I asked her, why did you let me color my hair when I was in seventh grade? And it was like tiger striped. I'm talking bright red racing stripe highlights that were in the early 2000s. So they were chunky and I'd put my hair up and it literally looked like you just had stripes going back in my head. I was like, why did you let me do that? And she's like, it was battle. I didn't want to fight. It was the smartest thing ever because your hair, it grew back, the color faded, it was fine. And so choose your battles wisely. Know the things that you Like it's the hill you will die on, like the thing you will stand up for. But on some of the other pieces, some of them aren't worth the fight. And I see that a lot in social media, and I'm just going to leave that there. Choose your battles wisely. Number 25, take candid pictures of your spouse with your kids unexpectedly. I know, unexpectedly, candid, those are the exact same terms. But remember the moments, no matter how messy the house is. I know there has been times that I've not been in pictures because I didn't feel good about myself or I didn't have my hair or makeup done and I felt uncomfortable. But there's sometimes I wish I could go and look back and see me in those pictures. So take those pictures, and it's so awesome to be able to see, like, if my husband takes pictures of me with the kids that I don't realize he's taking, and then I see them later, and I just get to remember that special memory, even if it's something as simple as playing on the playground or whatever it may be. That's been such a special moment to be able to have. So take them. Don't worry about all the other pieces. All right, we're almost there. 26. Grief is not a one time occurrence, it comes in waves. And the stages of grief are not linear, which if you listen to the podcast, this last one about grief with Stacy, we talked about this and they're not linear. They don't just happen one to another and then you complete it and you're done. Grief will continue to come in waves, and it's one thing that we have to remember, and it's okay. It's a normal human experience. And also, grief is not just in the loss of a loved one or in someone's death, but there are so many other pieces of our life that we have to grieve as well. And if we learn how to grieve in a healthy way, it can help so much. Number 27, asking for help is really hard, but man, it will make your life so much better. There are people around you that want to help. And a lot of times we don't want to ask for help because we're ashamed of why we're asking for help or we feel bad to put a burden on someone else. Now, I'm not saying go ask for everything all the time, but when you are in a really hard situation, there's people in your life you can reach out to, even if it's just to chat. Like if you're having a really tough day and you have a safe person in your life, ask them if they'll sit and listen. And if you're that safe person for somebody, sit and listen and don't just try to fix the problem. It's so important. Number 28. Now, this one's kind of funny and it's very specific to me, but I have a really strange love for putting furniture together. And yeah, people look at me really strange when I share this information with them, but I absolutely love putting furniture together. It brings me so much joy. A lot of people like to do a puzzle. I hate puzzles, but I love putting furniture together, which is like a 3D puzzle basically. It's so much fun. And I literally have people that now just ask me, hey, this furniture came in the office. You want to put it together? And I'm like, I would love to. It's such a weird thing, but it's what brings me joy. And it's okay that it doesn't for everyone else. Number 29, take everything with a grain of salt and do your research. No matter who it is speaking to you, no matter what you've heard online, on social media, no matter if it's a pastor that is preaching it, take it with a grain of salt and do your own research. That's one thing that I have learned over the years is that no matter what someone's saying, I'm not just going to take it as is and accept it as complete truth. I want to ask questions. I want to look into things myself. When I'm curious on something like one of the pastors has said in a sermon, I want to look into the scripture. I want to look at the context of it. I want to see it for myself. And I encourage so many other people to do that as well. It will help you learn. Like we need to be continuous learners. And so that is such a great piece and a way to just continue keeping, and you know what you believe in then. You know why you believe what you do because you've done the research. That leads us to number 30. Just because you are offended by something somebody did or said doesn't mean you are right. This might be a time to look within yourself, especially if you're consistently offended by the same things. Now, in the same line of this idea, being offended and being hurt are two completely different things. We need to be open minded to others, and it will take us such a long way. We have to look at others' experiences from a different perspective than your own. We can't always just view things through your own personal experiences. There are so many different people who have had so many different experiences. If we only view things through our own lens, you'll never get to experience the beauty of everything else. So be open. Look at things from a different perspective from time to time. It really will take you a long way. 31, don't search online if you're feeling sick. Just every time it's going to tell you you're dying. Every time. That's actually been a rule in our household. 32. Not everyone is going to like you. Oh, I struggle with this one. Instead of wondering why, keep in mind that maybe they dislike you for the same reasons that so many others like, love, and respect you. 33. It's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. When you can't get yourself unstuck, a professional might be the best person to help walk alongside you and help you take a step out of your stuck place. 34, don't focus on the things you cannot change. Focus on the things you can. This will take you so far in life because we typically worry about the things that we can't change, like the things of the past or the things of the future. And if we focus on the here and now and the present and the things that we can change, like the way we react to certain things, that can make a huge difference in our life. And it can also help if you're struggling with worrying all the time, if you start thinking of the things you can change in the situation. 35. Not everyone is a safe person to share all the details with. But when you find that person or people in your life, hold tight to them. And don't forget to share with them how much they mean to you. Also, make sure it goes both ways. Take times to share, but also take times to be an active listener of what's going on in their life too. And that leads us to the very last one, 36. Emotions are not all negative, and you should never apologize for your emotions. God literally created us with all of these emotions, and they work together to help us be a whole person. So stop apologizing if you cry in a situation. That's your body responding to whatever's happening. And that's normal. That's a normal human experience. Even fear can help us stay away and be cautious of certain situations. I know that sometimes fear can take us to a dark place, but there are things that fear and anxiety are warning signals at the very start, and they can help us in certain situations. So they're not always negative. Emotions are a very important part of our lives, and we need to start recognizing them, and we need to start naming them for what they are and talking about them and realizing that the emotions don't make you weak. They really make you strong. I really hope you guys enjoyed this list. I really enjoyed putting it together, and it's been awesome just to look back over my 36 years and see the things that I've learned. And I know that I will learn so much more, but I would love to hear from you. What would you add to this list? Or what would you maybe take away? What are things that you've learned in your life that have helped you along the way that might help somebody else? I would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to Real Talk with Megan. Remember, you are not alone. Seeking help is a sign of strength, and taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. We'll see you next time for more honest conversations.